Okay, so I've made some progress, slowly but surely, on getting the bushings that I need for the worm gear here. I'll get this up closer to the camera here so you can see. This has been kind of really drawn out over several hours off and on. So I didn't figure this was going to be very easy to video. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to chuck this back up. Once I've got the other side of this on, or hammered on, I'm going to chuck this back up in the lathe, and I'm going to turn the end of this off so that I get the right dimension this way to where it'll fit in the apron correctly. I know it doesn't look very pretty, but for whatever reason, that's just the surface finish I wind up with. So I'm just gonna go with it. It'll never look pretty, eventually anyways, once it's actually in use. So what I wound up doing was I started to kind of come up with a basic idea of what dimensions I was going to need. I took a piece of 1.5" material, roughly turned the outside diameter down till it was about, 20 thousandths or so over size, and then drilled it out to 7/8 of an inch, which is the dimension that I need to clear for my lead screw on the lathe. So I just drilled it with a 7/8 drill bit and called it a day on that. And then what I did, once I got the outside completely down to dimension, I went back in with a tiny, tiny little boring bar, if you want to call it that, and I got the inside dimension situated to make a slight interference fit with the outside diameter of this. And that's what I'm fixing to do right now, is I'm fixing to get the inside diameter of this one situated to mate with this side of the worm. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera here in a minute and get my tooling set up to start trying to hit this dimension. I've already got the outside cleaned off. I just parted this piece off about an hour or so ago. Oh, I shouldn't say parted off. I cut it off with the bandsaw. And then I came back in here and got this outside diameter situated to where I like it for this piece, and cleaned this edge back up. As far as the clearance, the bearing clearance, I'm just kind of going by feel. I don't have any drawings that I'm working off of or anything like that, so I realize it's got to have oil flow in there to keep it lubricated and whatnot over its course of its life. So that feels like it's going to work just fine. Based on the design of this for the Logan lathe, no matter what I do, it is not going to last forever. There just isn't enough thrust bearing surface between the back edge of this and the inboard edge of that. There isn't squat for thrust bearing surface, so no matter what I do, it's going to wear. It's just a question of how long it takes for it to wear. So I got to the point where I'm just not worrying about, every tiny little detail. I just need to get the lathe back into service again. So anyways, like I said, I'm going to pause the camera and I'm going to get situated to start boring this out. All right, so let's see. I think that shows up on the camera. I can't really tell for sure. All right, so what I've done so far is I've switched out to the little baby boring bar. I don't know if it shows up on camera. I'm going to bring you guys over here to a better position real quick. Okay, so there's the little baby boring bar. Basically what I've done is I've roughly measured the distance that I need for clearance depth here, transferred it, to these calipers, and then I just eyeballed the calipers and set the depth of the tool like that with my cross slide and set up my carriage stop. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start running the carriage back and forth, and it'll stop every time at the right depth. At least that's the theory anyways. So I'm going to start the process off here and kind of let you guys see what I'm working with, what I'm doing. It's kind of a really crude setup, and one of the things I always have a ton of trouble with is getting an internal dimension the way I want it. So basically I have to remember I need to stop a few thousandths early or I'm going to overshoot every single time. So I'm just going to show you guys a few passes of what I'm doing here, and then I'm going to pause the camera again and, well, basically finish the part off camera, other than probably other than actually hammering it onto the worm gear. So at any rate, here we go. Okay, so now that I've got this thing started off here, I'm going to take a quick measurement. I'm going to take a quick measurement on the on the outside of this to start with, and I'm going to zero out. Okay. And I'm going to start getting an idea of how much material I need to remove before I start paying close attention. So about 120 thousandths, 119 thousandths or so. So I've got quite a bit of material to remove off of this yet before I get anywhere close to size. So I've got my depth set, and I'm going to continue to increment the cross slide, or the oh, geez. Anyways, I'm going to keep incrementing this out further and further until I get fairly close. So it's going to take me several attempts at this. So I'm going to pause here and I'll catch up with you guys when I get this thing cut off. Okay, I think I've got this thing situated where I want it. Feels like it's going to be nice and snug. So what I'm going to do while it's still warm, I'm going to cut it off with my bandsaw, mind you, and then I'm going to whack the thing on with a wooden mallet. So I'm going to let you guys just kind of hang out for this. This won't take too long. Okay. Yeah, it's plenty warm still, so. Alright, I am going to try and get that hammered on while it's still warm. Once I figure out, there it is, where the mallet is. Better clean it out a little bit, too much grit in there. Alright, let's see if I can get that on there. Alright, I think that's on. Now with this being warm, hopefully it's going to contract a little bit on here also, but I keep hitting this thing. So once I get this end taken down, shortened a little bit, I should be able to fit my cap on there. I doubt that I can right now. It's got kind of a lip on it, but I'm going to go ahead and get this checked up in the lathe on the worm here, and I'm going to start cleaning some of this up a little bit. So I think it shouldn't take too much to get it down to where the bearing cap will start to fit. Let's see here. I'm going to put the... There it is. So I'm done with this. Let's see, get the right side. Okay, now I got to change out my tooling again. Let's see what I'm going to use. Like that. And I got to move my carriage stop also. That should be the last time I need the carriage stop on this project. Okay. Alright, get some of this thing cleaned up here real quick. That looks like it's wobbling a lot less. if the bearing cap will fit. And it does. All right. So that is going to just about be it for this part of the video, or this part of the project, I should say. So, the next thing I need to do is I need to get these guys, these outer ends, shortened so that they will fit correctly in the bearing caps and thusly correctly in the lathe apron itself. So I'm going to leave the video there and get it uploaded. Actually, I guess one last thing. Let's make sure that this thing does still slide onto the lead screw real quick. I think so. Needs a little bit deburring, but otherwise that should be golden. All right. Okay. And therein might kind of lie one of the tricks I use to get the length of this thing situated right. I may simply put something in both of these, or even just hook that in like that and compare that measurement to a pair of bolts that I've got in the apron itself. So anyways, I'm going to leave you guys with that, and I'll catch up with you later.